Overlooked, overlooked, overlooked Bible. Overlooked, what didn't you see? Overlooked, overlooked, overlooked Bible. Look a little closer to solve the mystery. To solve the mystery.
Why does Joseph use the term nakedness of the land, ervat haaretz, when he impugns his brother's motive for being in Egypt? The key verses come from the book of Genesis, a few different chapters. You can follow along in your own texts. Genesis 42:9 says, Joseph remembered the dreams that he dreamed of them. He said to them, you are spies who have come to see the nakedness of the land. In 37:23, it came to pass when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped Joseph of his coat, the coat of many colors that was on him. 42:12, he said to them, no, it is the nakedness of the land you came to see. And 39:12, she caught him by his garment, saying, sleep with me. He left the garment in her hand. He fled and went. Let's look at the relationship. Joseph was the favored son of Jacob. Because of this and his dreams, where the brothers were serving Joseph, the brothers didn't like him. They considered murdering him, but instead they sold him into slavery. Here's the scene. Joseph is in full Egyptian attire. He administers the food distribution for the entire nation. There's a heavy presence of guards and servants. Supplicants come and plead for food. Probably Joseph is on a raised seat of power, showing that he's the prime minister of Egypt. So picture that in your minds. And then the brothers come in, and it says, Joseph saw his brothers, and he recognized them. And the following verse says, Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Then there's a dialogue. Joseph acted like a stranger to them and spoke roughly with them. Where did you come from? They said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. Joseph doesn't know if his brothers recognize him, and he hasn't formulated a plan yet. Joseph will get very emotional during this interaction. The brothers answer his basic question with more information than necessary, a sign of nervousness. In this dialogue, there are a lot of raw emotions. It says Joseph remembered the dreams that he dreamed of them. And it says Joseph recognized his brothers. The scene is set. Joseph remembers them. He knows who they are. They caused him anguish and misery. So Joseph has two choices in developing a plan. One is to accuse them of criminal activity. But if he accused them of stealing food, why would they be waiting online for food? The second possibility is to accuse them of military aggression. And that's in fact what Joseph does. He says, you are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land. That's a little strange. Shouldn't it say you have come to see the strength of the land, where we keep our food silos, where we keep our military garrisons? Or maybe it should say you have come to see the wealth of the land, where we keep our money. What does this mean? Why would Joseph say nakedness? What sense does that make? Rashi, the famous biblical commentator, says what Joseph meant was weakness. The brothers came to see the weakness of the land, which makes sense, but then why not say weakness? Let's take a look at Joseph's life. Above the line, Jacob favored Joseph, then Joseph shared his dreams with his brothers. Both of these events caused a lot of family friction. Then I have the question mark. And then Joseph was sold into slavery. Below the line, Joseph rose to head of Potiphar's household. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Joseph. Then the question mark. Then Joseph was incarcerated. Take a look at this. What was missing from the chart? In both cases, in the first case, with Joseph's family relationship, what happened was Joseph's clothes were ripped off. Then when he was in Egypt, again, when Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Joseph, Joseph's clothes were ripped off. What are we getting at here? If you look at Joseph's life, when his clothes were ripped off, he was sold into slavery. And then when his clothes were ripped off, he was incarcerated. Every time Joseph thought life was going well, someone caused him to become naked, and everything crashed down. Joseph feared being stripped naked. Joseph's raw instinct in seeing his brothers is to accuse them of coming to cause him to become naked again. Joseph is afraid. He's afraid they'll strip him naked, oust him from power, and again ruin his life. But each time Joseph asks a question, the brothers answer with too much information. They deny being spies by saying, "We're all sons of one man. We are Canim." Their answer didn't refute the claim they were spies. They're also afraid. Joseph then reiterates, "No, you came to see the nakedness of the land." You can see that Joseph is still fighting his own emotions. And the brothers are still nervous. They said, "We are 12 brothers, the sons of one man. And the youngest is this day with our father, and one is missing." That one would be Joseph. The brothers have just admitted they don't know to whom they're speaking. Once Joseph hears this information, he overcomes his fear. There's no more mention of nakedness. He isn't threatened by them anymore. Now that Joseph feels he's in the clear and has the upper hand, he formulates a plan. He pulls himself together. He won't be bullied anymore. And he says, "You shall not leave here unless your youngest brother comes here." There will not be a third episode of nudity. Joseph is in control this time. Joseph's strange use of the word nakedness is the overlooked word in the story that leads to a much deeper understanding of the characters, their emotions, and the event that occurred. The question that we addressed at the beginning was, why does Joseph use the term nakedness of the land, ervat haaretz, when he impugns his brother's motive for being in Egypt? This is what we discovered. Throughout Joseph's life, his biggest fear is being stripped of his clothing. Every time it happened, his life crashed. When his brothers arrived, the first thought to enter his mind was they would strip him naked again and cause his life to crumble. By looking carefully at this word, nakedness, and why it was used, much can be learned about Joseph as a person. We can see his visceral fear, but also his resilience in overcoming it, and how sharp he was in developing a plan on the spot. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching.
Overlooked, overlooked, overlooked Bible. Look a little closer to solve the mystery.